Refugees traveled here and get settled to start their new livelihood that have been devastated in the areas like Kutubdia, Moeshkhali, Sonadia and Chokoria and different some other parts of Bangladesh including Bodishal or Noakhali.
So you're not looking at outside to receive help for no reason. We're involving outside actors, in other words, actors that are engaged in promoting development at the international level only after we developed a thorough strategic plan based on our own conditions, and then aid would come to play a kind of interesting role. The second aspect of it is that we tend to discuss developmental challenges from the top, occasionally ignoring the realities on the ground without really involving people who are being affected, in many cases negatively affected by environmental changes. They're not asked to participate in the discussions of what needs to be done, how development can be delivered. If we want to develop a comprehensive aid package to address the challenges of sustainable development, we have to involve ordinary citizens in a very meaningful way. It is not about just consultation, it is about involving them in the entire process of designing the programs and projects, and also in the process of implementation and monitoring. Then the international community can come and play its role in reducing the burdens that countries and communities in the developing world are currently facing.
You can see this is the Boiragi river that we have been following up for some time. This is one of the river banks. Used to get on the other side of the river. The water has turned totally black here due to the pollution that we have been trying to get to you. It is dumped on the river bank, so it is causing the natural flow. This is causing big problems for the natural flow of water, and the river has, for the last few years or so, the river has turned very narrow. You can see this is a line of water going into the river. Actually, this is the sewage line of the Dhaka city, which has been connected with the river, and continuously the river water is being polluted by the sewage water flowing into the river. There is no other better drainage system available in for the city, so the drainage system is being connected with the river.
The policymakers do know about it. The scholars who are debating these issues are fully aware of such phenomena, and civil society groups have been discussing this for years. I think this is time to make a concrete effort.
Cox's Bazar is the longest sea beach in the world. There is no doubt about it. But it doesn't mean that it is necessary to create all infrastructure along the 116 kilometer. There should be some space. There should be some resilience to the climate change, which will serve the purpose of true ecotourism.
Aid has a limited capability to deal with the challenges of development in general and the challenges of sustainable development in particular. Aid can be an effective means only when aid is delivered in a way where people have a say in the process of delivering the aid, managing the aid and utilizing the aid. So I think there are two different things we have to think of very carefully, one of which is the role of the government in utilizing aid that is coming into the country from outside sources, who is offering support, in what particular ways the support is being delivered and how is being managed. The government is part of the equation, and if we can make the government a bit more responsive in its effort to utilize aid in a more effective fashion, then I think there would be a great deal of possibility for us to use aid in a way that promotes sustainable development in the country. That would require I think the history of Bangladesh should probably show or tell us very clearly that it is often used politically, and it is used to promote partisan political interest, mainly serving the interest of the party in power. That needs to be changed, and it can be changed only when civil society groups are involved in the entire process of aid management from the very beginning of receiving aid until the end of the project cycle. That's one way of looking at it. The other aspect of it is that again, because of the political history of the country, government organizations, particularly political organizations, often use aid to benefit their own members, own community members. They don't necessarily think of the interest of the entire country in general, or the interest of the community that is supposed to benefit from the participation of aid and benefit from it. Unfortunately, this is not an easy issue to resolve, but I think by opening the process up, by being transparent and accountable, by involving civil society groups, the government can change the current situation in a very significant way, and can create an opportunity where different groups would have the ability to make a decision in a collective fashion. If that happens, then I think yes, aid does have a role. But again, I wouldn't assume that aid is going to change anything at all unless some of the internal issues are resolved and unless aid is understood in a very critical manner.
About 2,500 type of products can be made by using bamboo as raw material. The bamboo is producing 35% more oxygen in comparison to other plants. So I think by cultivating bamboo, easily we can mitigate the adaptation, mainly in our coastal belt, for having the green belt, and our water board embankments and dams in the both sides of these programs. Use of bamboo in rural Bangladesh is our tradition and indigenous knowledge of our people. It naturally grows up to 100 to 120 feet long, and which diameter is about 24 to 30 inches. 3 years time period it takes for growing in this level. So I think it's a very important resources of Bangladesh. It must be visible to the people. I think the people will like it if they could know. And for this, NGOs and government should come forward.
These are the Gangalata. We call it Gangalata, some sort of plant species that appears in the newly accreted land automatically. It's the natural wonder that can bind the soil. This sort of things is actually the gift of the nature that creates the land, bind the land, and make it suitable for the civilization. So we are trying to regenerate this plant throughout the sand dune, so that the sand dune get elevated to protect the community from the natural disaster. I think that United Nations should come to this place, and they should write down the note. They should create the adaptation manual, seeing the adaptation struggle of these people, and they should disseminate this manual throughout the world. This is the newly accreted land near to the 0 point of Coxbazar Sea Beach, and here we can see that natural regeneration of the keura tree is seen here, visible here throughout the terrain, throughout the land, new land. You know that the other side of this land there is also thousands of mangrove species have been regenerated and raising. It is stabilizing the land actually. The new land stabilization. This is the part of new land stabilization, and this is the characteristics of the mangrove area or newly accreted area near the seashore. And what we are doing here, we grouped with the climate refugees who are inhabiting in this area and awarding them to not to destroy this newly rising plantation that is the gift of the nature, and we are trying to replant more trees to fill up the gap so that the land get accreted very rapidly. And this is one of the most important adaptation struggle. This is the newly accreted land, and it is almost 2 kilometers long and have been developed over the few couple of years. And this new mangrove forest behind me is on its very young stage, and it is growing, and hopefully this new mangrove forest can stabilize this land for a long time. And we are trying here to develop this forest rapidly. We are trying to help the natural spirit of this land. Actually, everything is available in this land, and every seedling is available in this land, and nothing we need to import from outside. And with the resource available here, we can develop this land over the next 2 or 3 years. And that's why we have started our project of boost up plantation along with this already existing mangrove to actually to help the strengthening of the land mass. And this mangrove, beyond this mangrove forest, there is a very tender looking mangrove forest you see, and beyond that it is extended up to 1 kilometer in that direction, and the whole mangrove forest is in the very young stage, and lot of free spaces are available which will be naturally covered by this mangrove forest if we do not disturb this mangrove. But what we are doing, we are actually helping and accelerating the mangrove coverage as soon as possible. It is our plan to cover the whole land under the mangrove species like the keora and lot of other species. And hopefully we assume that it is our prediction that within next 10 years, which we call the disastrous decade due to the climate change, and if we can keep going with our activities, what we are doing here along with the climate refugees, hopefully this land will be the protective barrier for the airport and the community that is visible from here and on the east side of this land. So this is our most important project of adaptation struggle. We are helping the people to understand what the consequence will be if there is no mangrove forest that is existing now. So what is the necessity and importance of saving this forest? We are trying to push that knowledge among the climate refugees. Now they are very much aware and helping us, participating with us to develop this mangrove forest, and hopefully we shall overcome. That's the final thing.
As a matter of academic discussion, one could say that these countries in the West have a big role to play in terms of causing climate change. But when it comes to receiving migrants, then I don't think these countries are going to accept the argument that they are liable and that they should be obligated therefore to take in more of these people who have been displaced. But definitely I think that if they have signed on to the United Nations Convention on the Acceptance of Refugees, like Canada has and other countries, then they should be obligated to take in refugees. I think that just on the basis of humanitarian grounds, those countries who are able to accommodate refugees should take in people who are displaced because of climate change. And many of these countries, such as Canada for instance, have the need for labor. These populations are relatively low, and